Disappointed Indian fans, of course, expressing their ire. They're talking about how unfair this decision really was. And what we constantly see them citing is the fact that there was no spike on the snickometer. But as far as the third umpire decision is concerned, how valid that contention can really be?
Yes, it's quite disappointing for the Indian fans, and immediately after Jaiswal's wicket, you saw India losing 3 more wickets and going and losing the game. But from a third umpire's perspective, what we have to remember, what we have to look is that his primary focus of evidence is a deflection, and it was clear that there was a deflection when the ball was, close to his gloves, and that was the only evidence that the third umpire took to overturn the on-field umpire's decision. When we talk about sneakometer, this was a case, this was a technology that could support that deflection. That is where the third umpire went ahead and trying to look whether with the deflection was there an audio as well. But the audio was not picked up on the sneakometer. So the third umpire reverted back to his primary source of evidence, that was the deflection. So even though it could be very disappointing, it was very disappointing for Team India fans and for Yashasvi Jaiswal. In the end, it was a decision that was taken by the TV umpire based on the primary evidence that he had. And the controversy became when it was shown on the big screen about the sneakometer. If the third umpire had not gone ahead and asked for that secondary form of evidence, that is the sneakometer, if he had stuck with the deflection itself, there was no controversy as such there. But in the sneakometer there was no spike, and that is where the controversy has really come up. But from an umpire's point of view, his primary evidence was a deflection, which was very much clear, and that is what prompted the third umpire, Sharafuddullah Saikat, to overturn the on-field umpire Joel Wilson's call of not out on that particular incident.
Okay, that's exactly what's leading to this kind of a back and forth between angry, fans here in India. There are several cricketers, in fact, who've questioned the decision by the third umpire. Stay on with us, Vineet. We have our callers who continue dialing in. This is Dr. Dhruv Rai, who's calling us from Hyderabad. Good afternoon to you, sir. What do you think?
Good afternoon to you too. I have nothing to comment on this. It's an umpire's decision, good or bad. There'll be two sides to any story, and I'm sure there's nothing malicious about it. But what I want to say is that Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, and the coach should not use this as a fig leaf to avoid retirement. It's time they left Test cricket. It's been very embarrassing, the performances. They should take the onus and they should own up for the failures. That's all I need to say.
Appreciate you sharing your perspective, Dr. Dhruv. Vineet, my colleague, continues to stay on with us till we wait for more viewers who want to dial in, talk us through what they think about this decision by the third umpire. Vineet, what's interesting is that, while this is a huge controversy, many at the moment asking whether or not this has cost us the fourth test, and that's actually led to a setback wherein India's now is behind Australia. It's a 2-1 lead for Australia. But tell us a little bit about the manner in which there is overall disappointment. We, heard one of our viewers talk about how, the captain in this case, etc., have failed the entire team. So there is overall disappointment with regards to high expectations that were set going into this test.
Yes, most definitely. Heading into Australia, India were the, winners of BGT for the last 2 years here in Australia itself. So there was high hopes from this Indian team. But then again, in the last day, the last day, we saw how the top three really were not able to perform. The top order, in fact, were not performed. And this cannot, as one of our callers rightly said, this cannot mask the disappointment, of that Jaiswal controversy or Jaiswal wicket, cannot mask the disappointment of what our top 4 or top 5 or the big batters have not been able to do. Their performance have been really poor. It's been really, not in terms of how we expect them to perform. Rohit Sharma, for example, averages less than 10 in the series so far. Virat Kohli has had a couple of good starts, but he has been susceptible to the ball outside off stump. So there's not been good performances from the top order to give you the base. Jaiswal himself have had a very rocky tour so far. He has got 161. He's added an 80 here, but he also had 2 ducks to his name. So overall, the batting hasn't really clicked, and that is the major disappointment. This controversy could have, this wicket pretty much led to a defeat, which could have been a draw if Jaiswal was still there. But overall, heading into the final test, as you mentioned, India are 1-2 down, and and they just have to win the SCG test, the Sydney test, to at least retain the Border Gavaskar trophy. With this loss, India's chances of qualifying for the final of the World Test Championship also goes up. So the major questions on the top order. The veterans of Indian cricket who have served Indian cricket for a long time, there are question marks about how long we would be able to, they would be able to carry in this team. When is the right time to blood in the youngsters or give them the opportunity? So all these questions remain, and all these are a very disappointing things. We are seeing Shubman Gill was benched because you had KL Rahul coming in at number 3, Rohit Sharma opening, which did not really work out. Virat Kohli, as I said, has been a pattern to him getting out. Rishabh Pant again, the game turning point in today's match probably was that Rishabh Pant dismissal. He really tried to took on the part-timer Travis Head, and a very poor shot, very similar to what he tried in the first innings as well. So it is all a disappointment of how batting has not been able to click together. The bowlers led by Jasprit Bumrah have been really good. They have been giving you 20 wickets. It is because of the bowlers that India were in the game till the last day today, that is, and Nitish Kumar Reddy or be it Washington Sundar have given you valuable runs down the order, but it's been the top order that has been a big worry. And again, the Jaiswal incident cannot really mask that disappointment of what our top order has not been able to do, and they have not yet delivered, to be honest.
Oh yes, in fact the bowlers were the ones to put us in this great spot after yesterday's splendid performance, but unfortunately really not favouring India on the last day of the 4th test, which has now led to a setback for India. We're behind 2-1 in this series against Australia. We'll talk about what this means for India, as far as the finals of the World Test Championship are concerned, Vineet. But we need to talk about this very interesting comment that's come in from Sunil Gavaskar, who in fact has spoken on this controversy around the DRS call, which led to Jaiswal's ouster. He says if the evidence of the technology is not to be taken, why have it at all? This is something that would definitely be the query as far as Indians are concerned. So that's a very interesting expert opinion coming in. But for now, I want to quickly go across to our callers who continue to dial in. We're being dialed by Ravi, who's calling us from Bengaluru. Good afternoon to you, Mr. Ravi.
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon. This is Ravi speaking from Bangalore. I completely 100% echo Sunil Gavaskar, the master's voice here. I mean, technology is there to improve and to make more accurate decisions. When the technology is proving you otherwise, and if there is a benefit of doubt, I mean, if you look at cricket history, if there is a benefit of doubt, it's always given to the batsman and not to the bowler. I don't know how. I mean, I would not go to the extent telling that just this dismissal was a key deciding factor for our loss. There are other critical factors like Rohit Sharma's form and poor batting show up and other things and all. But you never know what moment.
Okay, all right. Thank you, sir, for sharing that opinion with us. We need to quickly cut across live to the press conference underway on part of the BCCI VP. All right, Mr. Rajiv Shukla, apologies, is through with us on the phone line. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you for taking out your time. Your thoughts on this entire controversy that's led to Jaiswal's ouster?
Well, I have given my point of view, and it's for the people to, take their own view, what I have said. But according to me, I was in the match. I mean, technically he wasn't out. I mean, if you go by technology suggests that he wasn't out. But personal opinion, individual opinion of third umpire, that was taken into account, and he was declared out.
Isn't that what precedent suggests, Mr. Shukla, that it's always the third umpire that takes the final call, even over and above what the sneakometer in this case suggests? Yes.
Correct. That's the rule. If third umpire has taken a decision, that decision will be implemented. So accordingly, we have lost the match. I mean, he was declared out. So that's okay. That's fine. That's not an issue. I'm talking a larger issue. Larger issue is that ICC's technical committee should take a call. They should, they should decide whether everything will be decided by the technology or individual's opinion will prevail upon that. In certain cases, you go by technology. In certain cases, you don't go by technology. So there has to be, there has to be call taken by the technical committee of the ICC. What should be the final thing?
Mr. Shukla, I think there's also much outpour given that how, in these kind of scenarios, the benefit of doubt goes to the batsman. Do you think that's what seems to have failed the Indian fans?
Yeah, absolutely correct. You are absolutely right. In such cases where there is a doubt, benefit of doubt should be given to the batsman. That's always there, and several people have taken advantage of that. But in this case, the decision was that's why most of the people were agitated amongst the spectators. They're shouting slogans and all.
Mr. Shukla, the question being asked is, whether this one decision has led to India's defeat, which indeed has resulted in us being behind the Australian side in the ongoing series. Does India plan to officially take this up with the ICC?
No, that decision will be taken later. And when everybody meet and the office bearers, they talk with each other. And then we'll have to talk to team management also whether we should, go to ICC or not. But I'm personally we have given. And I'm not saying that we would have won. But at least, SSC would have contributed in a, very, great manner. At least they would have, he would have ensured the draw.
Mr. Shukla, before I let you go, one last comment on what you make of Akashdeep's dismissal.
Akash's dismissal is also controversial. There you go, went by technology. In Yashasvi Jaiswal, decision didn't go by technology. So that's why I'm saying that is a major call which has to be taken by the technical committee of ICC.
Mr. Rajiv Shukla, appreciate you taking out your time. Thank you, sir, for speaking to us here on CNN News 18. I want to go across to our viewers who are constantly dialing us this afternoon. We have CM Sardar calling us from Ahmedabad. Good afternoon to you, sir. What's your take?
Good afternoon, ma'am. I was listening all these things, and I totally agree with Sunil Gavaskar's opinion. But I would like to suggest to ICC actually, if they take it up, that third umpire should not be the final decision maker. He should be the advisor of the ground umpires. Ground umpires, they are also watching on the screen, and they can also they can make up their mind, and they can take the decision. Third umpire should not be given the final authority. It should be the decision on ground, because they are the main umpires, and they are handling the game on the ground. That is my opinion.
Okay, appreciate you speaking to us, CM Sardarji. My colleague Vineet continues to stay on with us as we await for more callers to call in. So viewers, do dial in. Tell us what you feel. Do you think it's this one decision that's, cost India the entire test against Aussies? This was crucial indeed for India. And Vineet, we've been discussing about what this means for India in the finals of the WTC. But I also want you to come in briefly on, how Mr. Rajiv Shukla and I were also discussing that usually in these cases, the benefit of doubt lies with the batsman, and that's where much disappointment also comes in this case, I believe.
Yes, absolutely. Benefit of the doubt does go with the batter if there is no conclusive evidence to overturn the decision. But as I said, the conclusive evidence from a third umpire's point of view was a deflection there, and the issue here, or the controversy, erupted because of the sneakometer. Remember, the sneako is also not a confirmation of any decision that has been done. It is just a backup support to the initial evidence that the TV umpires are presented with. Here it was a deflection, and also the fact here is that why did not any spike was not picked up on the sneakometer is the fact that it was not a delivery that was nicked off the bat. It was from the gloves itself, so that also makes it very difficult for sneako to pick up that spike. That is the reason why the third umpire went with the first initial primary evidence, which was the deflection. But however, this also puts into question the veracity of the technology. How foolproof is the technology here itself? As Sunil Gavaskar pointed out, if you cannot rely on technology, why use it at all? And this is also one of the main contentions why, if you remember, India were one of the last teams, boards. So BCCI was the last board to really put their hand up and say that we will be using DRS, because they wanted the technology to be foolproof. What this incident shows is that technology itself isn't foolproof, and you cannot put the decision entirely on technology. You need to have a third umpire, or you need to have a human intervention here, and that is what we saw here. It was a human intervention of the third umpire taking their call that I had my primary decision or primary evidence of the deflection, which was very much apparent, and that is what they went ahead with. Even though sneako did not show any spike, it was only to confirm. It was not to confirm the decision. It was only to support the hypothesis that the third umpire already had. So this controversy again really puts up, not from a third umpire point of view, but in the technology itself. How foolproof are these technologies? technologies. Remember, there's also one more technology, which is the hotspot, which could have really given a clear idea about the decision or the spike he had on the glove. But again, hotspot was a technology which is not being used in this series because again, hotspot is also very susceptible to the weather conditions. So the broadcasters did not have the hotspot technology here, so they only had to rely on primary evidences, which was the deflection and the sneakometer. And in this case, unfortunately, the sneako did not show up any evidence, but the deflection, the primary evidence, showed up, which was enough for the third umpire to overturn the decision.
Okay, Vineet, many thanks for joining us, with all those important details, crucial in understanding what protocols, rules really apply in this case. But we also did try and manage a quick word with Yashasvi Jaiswal's coach, who was also in person, witness to all that transpired at the MCD. Here's what he said. Listen in.
All the audience, they're saying that the decision that was taken against Yashasvi is very unfair. What do you make of this entire controversy that has erupted during the 4-test match?
Well, I'm also here in Melbourne in MCG, and I think that is very unfortunate that even the ground umpire is not given out. And if somebody is taking DRS, and even after DRS, they took a lot of time to decide that whether it was sneak or not. And even on there was no sneakometer involvement there. So I think it's unfortunate for India because still Yashasvi was there. There was a chance to draw, but now it's very hard, to even draw the game. So I think very unfortunate, and I think bad for Indian. Indian
Mr. Singh,
for today.
I do understand passions would be running high and the morale would be slightly dampened with the decision that has been taken. But when a decision is taken, is it the final word? Is there no opportunity for a rethink, perhaps?
I think this is that's why I said all the if umpire is giving decision and taking a lot of time, it means there's a doubt, and doubt of benefit of doubt should be given to the batsman. So hard for our team, right?
Right, and when this entire thing happened, what were you thinking? According to your assessment, what do you feel about this entire incident?
Feeling sad first of all for India, and also sad because he was very close to score 100 in MCG. So yes, as an Indian and also the coach of Yashasvi, I feel sad because he was looking very good and he was hitting the ball hard, and he was holding one in throughout the inning. So I think it's unfortunate for all of us.
But overall, how have you felt about his performance? I mean, you're someone who has gone along with his journey. You've mentored him in so many ways. Your thoughts about India playing the Aussies and, all the kind of controversies that have happened while both these teams have been playing?
Well, when you're playing in Australia, these things are very, very normal. True. Because we have seen in past how even Sachin Tendulkar got out multiple occasions, and those are playing well. It's happened in Australia many times. A lot of mental games has been played. But as per the Yashasvi's concern, I'm happy with his performance. That whenever he got opportunity to bat, he played an inning for India. Even first inning scored 82, and even this inning, I think I'm very, very happy for him. But still, I feel it's not good enough. He has to perform better to at least one more test match and go with some great memories.
But it's a long road ahead. He's young. It's a marathon, isn't it, Mr. Singh? And I'm sure that in the coming years, he's only bound to shine.
Yeah, of course. He has gone a good start. Last 1.5 years since he's playing for India, he is performing everywhere. He has gone through multiple records as well. But again, as a cricketer, you always play for your team. You try to win the matches, and personal milestone doesn't matter. So I think yes, if he's playing at early career this way, I hope he continue for another year, and play. He become the next legend of Indian cricket. Yeah.
All right, that was Jaiswal's personal coach. We have kept our call-in lines open, viewers, so feel free to dial in. Vineet, my colleague, continues to stay on with us as well. Now, Vineet, there is much controversy around the third umpire's decision, which, remember, ruled out or rather overruled the on-field umpire's decision in this case, and several expert opinions coming to light as we speak. But what I want to understand from you is, with limited time, in India's hand to swing it in its favour, even if Jaiswal was able to continue at 84 and beyond, would that have changed India's fortunes in your view? What do you think?
Most definitely, it would have changed India's fortune from India, succumbing to a loss. India could have played out a draw. I mean, it was only 15, 16 overs left when that decision happened, and Jaiswal, along with the tail, could have pretty much salvaged a draw for Team India, which would have meant that India were alive in this BGT. They would have gone into the Sydney Test, were 1-1 with everything to play for. Australia, in fact, would have been under more pressure because they would have to win to retain the BGT there, and for India, a draw would have been more than enough to retain the BGT. Now, with 1-2 deficit for Team India, it's India which would be under pressure going into Sydney, because they will have to win to retain the Border Gavaskar Trophy. There's no other way. Even if a draw would mean the BGT goes to Australia. Secondly, the World Test Championship scenario also changes with this loss. Now, India cannot win this BGT, means their World Test Championship final appearance lies on how Australia perform in Sri Lanka in the coming Test series, because remember, South Africa are already through to the final with a win over Pakistan. So it's a scenario wherein India, everything was at stake for Team India, and Jaiswal could have salvaged a draw, which would have opened the gates for Team India in terms of possibilities for the BGT as well as the World Test Championship. And now the pressure is on India going into the final test at Sydney. They will have to win the Sydney Test and hope Australia gets whitewashed in Sri Lanka 0-2 for a chance in the WTC final. Otherwise, this will be the first time you would not be seeing Team India in the final of a WTC championship.
Oh yes, and that's going to be a huge blow indeed, Vineet. So, the pressure completely tilting towards the Indian side now going into the Sydney Test. Many thanks, Vineet, for joining us.